And so my subject today is rejection. My subject is rejection, and of course we've been dealing with the theme, who is Jesus, and we'll finish that on Sunday. And I think, just by way of introduction, we all suffer rejection. You might not know it, but you do, you and I, from time to time. And the sad thing is, the bad news is that I don't think it stops. I don't think it'll ever stop, where you'd feel and be rejected from time to time. And you might think, well, I have not been rejected, but I think, if I were to make it more contemporary, like say you had a crush on somebody. Did that come out? Did that say, if I actually said, yeah, you had a crush on somebody, and that person had a crush on somebody else? That would be hard, isn't it? You'd feel rejected. I remember Ronnie didn't have a crush with anybody else, but I've been checking it out for a few weeks. And then when it came down to it, I asked her, or told her, I said, you know what, I think about you a lot. It's a line that didn't work, but, she did nothing. She said nothing, kept quiet, and I was so rejected. I felt like, the earth should open up and swallow me, because you hate when people say no to you, isn't? Especially in that area. I don't think you have problems like that, where you are rejected, Maybe if you think about it a little bit. But Rani said yes the next time I spoke to her, and that was not long after that, probably a year, and I told the Lord in my rejection, I'm tired now. I don't talk to anybody. I don't talk to any girls. I'm not going anywhere, right? It's all yours. Then one day, right we were in the combi going home, all of us, the choir, that is, we sang together. And then the Lord, He's saying, well, ask her now. I said, no, you know what happened the last time? And I was 21 or something like that. But the Lord won. He said, ask her now. So my first line out of my mouth, and the other day I saw somebody copying my line. Hey, I got the franchise on that one. Do you love me enough to marry me? That's my line, original line. I said that to her. Never saw her before. Never went out before, never had coffee together, never had a dinner together, never held hands, nothing. Only I saw her in the church. And then now in the combi, I'm going home and said, tell me, do you love me enough to marry me? That was it. And she said, this time she spoke, I don't know. And I don't know, is a good line. I don't know, because knowing English, it's not a no, but it's not a yes. There's a doubt, which is a good thing. I was moving up in the world this time. And so I said, okay, you know what, let's pray. And we prayed in the combi, people are singing, we go home. And at the end of the prayer, it was a powerful prayer, I think, because she said yes. I was overjoyed. And we've been together for about 46 years. Actually, if I counted those couple of years before we got married, it's 48 years. Did I hear her say clap, clap? Yeah. And so, you suffer rejection, possibly in that area. I'm not going to be there for long in this, but sometimes you get rejected in a job interview. You get the job, or you go for this interview. I remember one interview I went for. I was like very excited. We're going to pray in tongues outside the church, outside that office. And I fasted and I prayed and sought the Lord. And I went there, and the guys asked me one stupid question. And in the middle of the interview, and And the question was, when they asked me on the application, have you ever been convicted in court? And of course, I said yes. And that was the problem, yeah, you would think. Then they want to know why. Hey, I started talking now. You know what, you starting now, old story. I said, this is before I became a Christian and I found Jesus. But when I found Jesus, this happened, that happened. So I went on talking about Jesus. I preached for about 10, 15 minutes in the interview, but I didn't get the job. I thought I thought I'm going to get that job. It was like a real crazy thing. And I thought, boy, this is like a notch, I think, above my grade, and I wanted that job. But then the rejection happened. I thought, oh no. But you know, whenever you are rejected like that, there's always better. God always makes it better. Because not long after that, I got a job that is 2 notches higher. It's where God wanted me. So you suffer the rejection. And I know you probably suffer rejection from close friends, maybe close family, where you've been betrayed by your best friend, perhaps, I don't know. But all of us, from time to time, go through rejection. And maybe you think of yourself as, really, I'm not lovable. You know, nobody can fall in love with me. Look at me. But I'm telling you, God is able. You might say, I'm not pretty enough. I don't look handsome enough. And my market is very, very small. But I want you to know, God knows you. I don't know about these people. What about you? God knows you, and He's careful to deal with your stuff. And so did Jesus himself suffer rejection? Yes. And he endured it, as we know in the scriptures. More on this in a minute. So, but even in the Old Testament, when you look at what God is doing, God himself suffered rejection. I remember one time Israel that come from Egypt through the Red Sea, and they went through the wilderness and gone into the promised land. There they were. God set them up, established them. And they had been established there, coming out of slavery for 40 generations. They were there, their grandparents and great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents, so on, all slaves in Egypt. And God brought them out from such power and led them and established them in their own land. And now they were asking for somebody else other than God. In 1 Samuel chapter 8, we read this verse 4, and it says, then all the elders of Israel gathered together and came to Samuel at Ramah and said to him, look, you are old, and your sons do not walk in your ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations have. I'm reading New King James, I think. I don't think I told you that, but I want that. But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, give us a king. Give us a king, verse number 6. Give us a king to judge us. So Samuel prayed to the Lord, and the Lord said to Samuel, this is how the Lord felt about that. Heed the voice of the people in all that they say to you, for they have not rejected you. They have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. And according to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them up out of Egypt, even to this day, with which they have forsaken me and served other gods, and they are doing to you also. God is very, very sad and upset that the people did not choose him. You know, if God was still alive, Samuel is going to die. The man is going to die, obviously, but God's not dead. And what God did all this time was lead them. He led them every day. Led them, fed them, took care of them, fought against the enemies for them. And they finally rejected him as king. It says, Give us a man. And you remember when you read the Bible, you'll read Samuel's, and of course in the Judges and Samuel, and then you have the Kings and Chronicles that talk about all the kings. And all the kings that were put up and set up there caused some serious problems for Israel. And they messed up Israel, took them away into all kinds of idolatry and so on. He warned them about that. And then God would have to judge them. But it was very sad. And when the Lord said to Samuel that line in verse number 7, heed the voice of the people in all that they say to you, for they have not rejected you. As a preacher, as a teacher of the word of the Lord, or even as somebody that's witnessing to other people, when the people say no to you, they are not rejecting you, they're rejecting God. People still do that today, even in the church. I mean, this is the people of God, the church in the Old Testament. They rejected God, and today you have the same thing. And when Jesus came, it was no different. And in John 1, we read, he was in the world, talking about Jesus. He was in the world, and the world, John 1, verse 10. New King James, always, everything. Thank you. And it says, he was in the world, and through the world, though the world was made through him, the world did not recognize him. He was in the world, and the world was made through him, and the world did not know him. He came to his own, and his own did not receive him. Isn't that sad? He comes to his own people. Don't go ahead of me. He came to his own, and his own did not receive him. But then there are people that did receive him. But as many as received him, to them he gave the right to become children of God, to those who believe. This is 12 now I'm reading. Thank you. But as many as received him, to them he gave the right to become children of God, to those who believe in his name. Again, God he comes to his people. This time he comes as a man. Before they couldn't see him, but he was acting there on their behalf, doing things. But now he had to come in. I told you last week why he had to come. It was not just to make us happy and wealthy and healthy. He came so that we would be free from death. We don't experience death anymore, spiritual death, that is. We will die here, but we will be with him forever. We will never be separated from him. But he comes now to do this work. This is a long time before he even went to the cross. He comes to the world, and even though the world was made through him, by him, the world did not know him. And then he comes to his own, and his own rejected him. When you read the text, a lot of the people there, they said, who are you, man? Where you come from? And I think that's the kind of rejection you and I will have. And so, but the good news was that some people did. But as many as received him, to them he gave the right to become children of God and to become sons of God. And on the cross, in the whole chapter of Isaiah 53, it's like a prophetic word about Jesus. And this chapter in Isaiah 53, it speaks of the Messiah, Jesus, who would suffer for all the sins of his people. Such a prophecy. This prophecy is astounding. And who would think that God would choose, the method he chooses, the person he would choose to save the world, and that person coming in to save the world will be through a humble, suffering servant, not like a glorious king coming in, in a black horse, waving his sword and putting the enemy away. No, he would come in as a man, quietly, humble, suffering. God's ways are very, very different. And the people of this world reject humility. They reject when somebody is suffering. They reject that. Can't handle it. You must be on top of your world, man, on top of your game. But God's ways are very different, very different. And sometimes when we talk about partners and looking for partners, sometimes our ideal is over here somewhere. We need to bring it down to where God, I believe, be open to what God might want, and you'll find God there. But if your heart and mind is on something else, you'll miss it totally. And even when it comes to a job, I think it's important for us to keep our horizon, our levels in view. Don't put it in such a place that you can't reach it, and therefore you get rejected all the time. But prayerfully, I believe God will never leave you in the same place He finds you. Never, never, never. So God works in ways we don't expect. But look at the strength that is shown in these verses as I will read them to you. Humility, being a humble person, shows how strong you are. You're a very strong person when you don't push yourself, push your weight around. When you're humble, take a humble seat. When you learn how to suffer, it's okay, I'll suffer the wrong, and you be merciful, that is your real strength, your real strength. And when you want to push yourself, say, this, that, you know me, and that Unit 5 comes out. I'm from Unit 5, by the way, I'm teasing myself. So, but the Messiah's strength was really, really, very, very powerful. His strength was shown in humility. Listen to this in verse 1, Isaiah 53. You got to read this again when you have some time. Who has believed our report? This is a prophetic word. And to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? For he, talking about Jesus, shall grow up before him as a plant, as a tender plant, and as a root out of dry ground. He has no form or comeliness. In other words, he was not a handsome looking dude. That's what it's saying. He had no form or comeliness. And sometimes when you don't look good, you think you don't look good, and you're rejected. But I tell you, great is your reward as you wait for God. When we see him, he has no form, no comeliness. When we see him, there's no beauty that we should desire him. And then verse 3 says, he is despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised and we did not esteem him. Have you noticed how some people, they like always under the radar? Don't underestimate them. Don't ever underestimate them. Then you find the other one boisterous, making a big noise, and you'll find that they don't have actually anything. As they say, a sounding gong is loud because there's nothing, it's empty. But when you have a quiet strength, when you're humble, you know better. You know better who you are and what you're doing. You know. The others got no idea. And I played music a long time, right? So it's been a long time I played. And I used to watch people. And the way they come up stage and they want to do that, I think, hey, well, this is going to be good then. And then he plays something. Yo. It's like that guy that was in Idols. He came up there. His grandmother told him, go sing because you can sing. Go. And then they went up there. And the judge was saying, he's about to give his thing. I heard it. That one I heard. He says, you've been singing long? He says, yeah. It's, since Monday. I almost died when I heard that. And I died a second death listening to him. I thought, oh God, this is the kind of guy that says that God gave him that voice. And I want to give my voice to him. Oh, don't do it. Even God is saying, no. People give the worst thing they can give, right? Hey, get your ideal down here. You can't sing, say that. I can sing in the shower. You can worship the Lord out there, right? But when you got this mic and you sing out of tune, everybody sounds out of tune. This is no joke, this thing. I don't know where that came from, but I gave it. So you have people that want to push themselves, and people that want to just humble themselves, they don't say anything. They're the ones that got some degrees, right? They're the ones that know. They're the ones that have an understanding. They won't talk too much. They will say something. These other guys that make a big racket and push. But the Lord was like that, and they didn't like that. This world don't like that. This world like you to push yourself. And I like the way when I hear interviews of in the movies, when an American sits in an interview, he goes there and says, "I'm like this. I can do that. This is what I'm going to do for your company. You're going to make it good." This is like that with the accent of his. I thought, "Oh man, I can never do that. Push yourself like that." And they like that. But the other guy goes there, "Can you do that?" "Yes, I've done that, And you look at your CV, and it's a very impressive CV, but your comeliness, you don't suit the CV. Well, people miss out, I think. Yeah, I can talk about that a bit. Surely, verse 4 says, He has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgression, bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement for our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. And all we like sheep have gone astray, we have turned everyone to his own way. And then here it says, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He's a quiet dude. Didn't open his mouth. It's fine. You can reject me. You can hit me. He was led as a lamb to the slaughter. But today, if somebody says something to you, you are going to block them. Isn't? On WhatsApp, block. Don't want to hear them again, right? Or on Facebook, unfriend them. And then Facebook wants to know what happened. They say, you don't know what I went through. No, it's not like that. I'm just kidding, messing around. So, then I don't see many people like that, suffering the wrong. Just being quiet, even when people say things about you. Just being quiet, it's all right. There are a couple of times the Lord told me, don't speak. Don't want you to speak. In fact, a couple of times in my dream, he would come up and say, don't be, one day he told me, don't be belligerent. I never used that word before in my entire life. So I had to go look it up, what it meant. It means don't fight. Walk away. Say nothing. But they are saying things about you. That's all right. Walk away. It's fine. Take it. And you what? As you take it, you will be promoted 2 notches up. Hello? I don't know. These people are a little bit slack. Now, what do you think? God will promote you. He will promote you. He does that. The people can revile you, put you down, reject you, but the Lord, so you must not open your mouth. Say nothing because there's a Lord. There's a God who vindicates. They mustn't fall into the hands. A fearful thing for somebody to fall into the hands of the living God. You have a God, right? Unless you want to fight. And I teach, sometimes I'll talk to people one-on-one, and the lady says, this, that, the other. I said, you know what, sister, you used your mouth too much, eh? I tell you what, use your mouth differently this time, where you talk to God. Huh? See, that's weak. See, that is weak. When they say, pray. But that's weak. But that is your strength. That gets God's attention. That gets God in the scene. It's very different, isn't it? The other one is shoot your mouth or shout, hey, what are you telling me for? What are you? Before long, I am telling you, somebody is going to die. Right? Don't open your mouth. Rather, you quiet it down. As long as, if you know you're right and nobody is giving in, you back off. If you're being led to the slaughter as the lamb, that's fine. As a sheep, before its shearers is silent, that sheep don't know it's going to lose all its wool. Eh? Don't know that? There you line him up, put him down, then come here. Take the thing off. I want the wool. Silent. This animal doesn't know he's going to die. He was like that. He was taken from prison and from judgment. And who will declare his generation? Meaning, will there be any people after him? Because they mowed him down in cold blood, right in the middle of his life. He's 33. He was cut off from the land of the living. For the transgression of my people, he was stricken. Will there be anybody to follow through? And according to what the answer should have been, there's nobody. He got nobody. You get married and have children, nothing like that. But this person, this God who gave himself like that, look at the generations. Can we declare it? Can we count the number of people that have come to him? Millions, billions maybe. And they made his grave with the wicked, but with the rich at his death, because he had no violence, nor was any deceit in his mouth. It's fine sometimes, some people can be quiet, but inside they are raging bulls. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about really being peaceful inside and letting God have it. Say, Lord, it's all yours. But you can be quiet, but your blood vessel here it's betraying you. You know the blood vessel here. Have you seen that? I've been a pastor for too long, actually. For 50 years, a long time. I've been watching people's blood vessels like this. They're not saying too much, but I'm telling you that is pumping there. And you can tell there is some, war going on. And it's worse when you say nothing and keep quiet. But if you're upset and you're keeping quiet, that's not going to help you. It's going to hurt you. So say what you can say, but don't fight. I'm going there, coming back. I hope you're okay with that. Yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him. Who bruised him? The Lord. The Lord did on the cross. The Lord bruised him. He has put him to grief. When you make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed. He shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. He shall see the labor of his soul and be satisfied, and by his knowledge my righteous servant shall justify many, for he shall bear their iniquities. And therefore I will divide him a portion with the great, and he shall divide the spoil with the strong, because he poured out his soul unto death, and he was numbered with the transgressors, and he bore the sin of many and made intercession for many. This particular chapter, that Ethiopian eunuch in the book of Acts, you read, that eunuch was reading that, and he couldn't understand it. And Philip was sent by the Lord and by the Spirit, go there to that thing. And he went there, and as he was running next to the chariot, he heard this man reading from this book. And then the man wants to know, hey, who is this man talking about? He's talking about himself, or he's talking about somebody else? He says, well, I think I can tell you that. He brought him up, made him sit with him in the chariot. And they told him, beginning with that verse, he talked about Jesus. That's how we know Isaiah 53 is all about Jesus. And this is the rejected Son of God. Rejection will come to all of us at some point in our lives, maybe a few times. And sometimes we are rejected even as human beings, by the way. And I see a lot of that now. You're not a human. We are all in some kind of dysfunction, I want to say to you, every one of us. From Adam, you find dysfunction right through. So we can't point a finger at somebody who says, you're a mess, because you're a mess too. Hello? We're all. And we can't dehumanize people. If they're a human being, if they are humans, then we need to love them. Love them. You might not have the best family, but you must love them. Hello? You might not have the best child, but you must love the child. You might not have the best wife or husband, but you got to love them. Before God, you got to show that you do love. Because you can fool yourself, but you can't fool God. But I thought this was a Good Friday service. We must treat people not as rejects of society. It's a real struggle, and the struggle is very real. So, how can we be prepared for rejection? How can we be ready for rejection? Hey, I'm glad you asked. I'm going to tell you now. Look at John chapter 13. I'm going to land with this chapter because you all want to know, how do I overcome this thing? What can I do to overcome rejection in my life? But notice in verse number 1, I'll read it. Now, before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour had come and that he should depart from this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. And supper being ended, the devil, having already put into the heart of Iscariot, Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him. Now, we stop right there. What happened? They're having the Last Supper, you recall, having Last Supper. Judas was there, the disciples were there. Judas is about to betray him. He wanted to sell Jesus out. He was just too fed up because he wanted something else about Jesus. Jesus was not that king that was going to kill the Romans and sort everybody out. He was a weak man. He looked at him and thought, what can he do? Nothing. He can do nothing. I'm going to betray him. That's how this world thinks. And so he gave him the bread, and the man went out and he said, whatever you must do quickly. Because he kept the bag, the money bag, everybody thought he was going to buy some bread and things. But what he was going to do next, see, Judas had the Last Supper and he had communion with the Lord. And that's how you drink judgment upon yourself. Drink judgment. When you have communion, but your heart is not right with somebody, you drink judgment on yourself. That's where it comes from, by the way. But this next thing that Jesus was about to do, Judas was not included. Judas left. And so here in verse 3, it says like this. Jesus, knowing that the Father had given him all things, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hand, and that he had come from God and was going to God, rose from supper and laid aside his garments, took a towel and girded himself, and that he poured water into the basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel with which he was girded. He was like a slave. Only a slave would do that job. Washing the feet and wiping the feet. Why was this so important? He's trying to show them that you think I'm the Lord, your Lord, and if I've done this, then I want you to serve people, serve them, serve others. Don't carry on like a big shot, because you're not going to be that. If you exalt yourself, you will be abased. But that is not the point. How this man fought and won when it came to rejection. The verse 3, and particularly the verse 3, gives us some clue. Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things in his hand, and that he had come from God and was going to God. See, rejection cannot affect us too much if we know who we are. Huh? If you know who you are, and secondly, whose you are. If you know those two things, no matter what people say about you, doesn't matter if they treat you bad, doesn't matter if they treat you like dirt, no matter what they say publicly, put on Facebook or whatever, it does not matter. What matters is what you think about yourself. He, with all that was going on around him, and also what is about to go through on the cross for absolute nothing. He was faultless. And he was going to die for the sins of everybody else. And for that even they were putting him down. And then now he's washing the feet of his disciple. You see him, the Son of God, the King of every king. And then he somehow John, the apostle here, he sees Jesus and he writes, saying, Jesus, knowing the Father had given him all things into his hands, and that he had come from God and was going to God. See, they mocked him growing up as he grew up. You were the son of Joseph, man. Why are you telling us God is your father? You're the son of Joseph, meaning you're an illegitimate child. You are a bee. I don't want to say that word loud because kids are here, right? You don't even know who your father is. We know, we can see your father. That's your father. You tell, no, that's your father. And that Mary, that was a love child you created. You made her pregnant before. That's how they were talking. And throughout his entire ministry, they were picking on him. Even his own family riled him. They were not happy with him. The religious order of the day gave him the hardest time. And then Judas, of course, rejects him, cooperating with the devil, and he departed before the foot washing. Before that, gone. Yet Jesus served even after he felt the rejection. And I'm telling you, you and I, we are going to go through this thing, whether you like it or not. How you serve after that, putting a towel and washing somebody's feet, serving God, doing what God wants. When you serve based on one thing and one thing only, and that you know who you are. You know who you are and whose you are. He got up from the meal, washed the feet of the disciples, and he knew he was going to suffer the greatest rejection. And so how did he overcome? Identity. He knew who he was. I tell you, he knew that God had placed everything in his hands. We today are in our own promise, by the way. We're not waiting for the promised land, not waiting for the, what do you call that place? By and by, we're going to be there in Canaan land. I'm on my way to Canaan. No, you are in Canaan land now. You are in the land of promise now. God has extended his kingdom now. It's here now. So he put everything into our hands. We have the kingdom now. We have it. We have all of heaven's resources now. We have it. And if you know who you have, what you have, who you are, then you will say, if you knew your calling, firstly, that you're called out of this world, if you know that God called you out of this world, who are people then to tell you what you are, what you're going, who cares? Who cares? Who cares? People today give themselves titles. I had one pastor, they met me there outside the gate as I was driving out. Hey, you're the right guy, he says. I want to talk to. Yeah, what you want? He said, I want to know how can be a bishop? I said, hey, bro, you know what you do? Just call yourself bishop. Fine. Rani was with me there. We were going out. Yeah, the guy meets me. The audacity. Hey, bro, I want to be a bishop. I thought a second. I said, hey, just call yourself bishop. I can't even tell him anything. What can I say? The more titles you got, you think that people will respect you more. No, they respect you less. They don't care. I have a butcher. He's not a Christian. And so I kid him all the time when I call for meat. And I say, just to kind of identify myself to who this person is. One day I said pastor. Another time I said reverend. One time I said most right reverend. One time I said cardinal. And then one time I said pope. You know? I said that. He's not saved. He's not Christian. He can't worry. He can't worry. But then he wants to be serious. He says, now tell me, how you go from pastor to a reverend? I said, you just move. You just move. Whatever you want to do, you just go. I get sick of it. People call me Samuel. That's my name. You must call me Samuel. That's who I am. Pastor is not my first name. It's my function. We don't ever call that fellow plumber Chetty or something. You don't do it. Don't ever do that. I don't know what it is that we get so crazy about. No, you must know that you have a call. Right? God called you. Firstly, He called you out of the world. And then secondly, to call you to serve God in your generation. What's going on right now? Jesus, He knew all things. Everything was put in His hands. I tell you, when you know, you know. When you know, you know. Eh? You know. When you know, you know. You know. You don't need anybody to tell you anything because you know. You know. I dare you when you go to lunch today, look at that lady who served you, says, you know. And he knew that he came from somewhere. He knew where he came from. And secondly, he knew where he's going. If you knew your destiny, and that you're running your race, God has given you a race. And the amazing thing about the race that God's called you to run on your track, one thing you must know, God's put the trophy in your hands already. How's that? You don't have to go and finish first. You got the trophy in your hand, you're running. Have you ever seen something like that? No, I have not. But this is what God has done. We know how it ends, this thing, and we won. We win. We win. So if you know who you are, you won't worry about what people say. There's going to be a lot of war about that word I spoke to you now when you go from here. You might be rejected at the parking lot already. But put this tongue, this tongue comes out far there. Put this tongue on the side of the cheek and be quiet and walk away. Is that all right? Because the devils are waiting. Yeah. All he knew was who he was and whose he was. All of us must take that as that word, because we all bleed when we cut, and the sad thing is we're all going to get it. You're going to get rejection all the time, but learn how to put a towel around your waist and serve knowing who you are. Is that all right? Easter message. Stand with me. Come back Sunday. We'll finish this. Yeah, I just want to pray for you. Send you away. Supposed to sing and all that, but his time is gone. I want you to maybe put your hand out in front of you. I just want to pray for you, bless you. I know you can get very anxious about stuff in your life. Close your eyes. You get anxious about many things. You get worried about many things. And you are drawing all kinds of sickness into your body because of that. Relax. It's okay. You got this. God's got it. You walk with Him. Is that all right? God's got this. So, Father, I bring each one, all of us, including myself up here, all of us. I pray, Father, that you help us watch our steps, watch our language, watch the way we think. I pray, Father, that we'd have the same mind as it was with you, in you. We know you've put all things in our hands too. We know where we come from, that we've been born from above. Thank you, Lord, for this privilege. And we know that when we're done here serving, we will be with you forever. So I ask you, Lord, with that in mind, help us to serve, not to think of ourselves as anything, but, oh Lord, to follow the Lord of our new birth, the Lord of our lives, Jesus the Christ, who served in spite of and despite the hardships. I pray your blessings on each one here today, this weekend. I pray your peace on each one, our families, our children, we pray. In Jesus' name. And all of us said, all right, take it easy, man.